Welcome to our progress update of Project PA Hemp Home. So, this is Cameron McIntosh of Americhamp LLC. I know he's known to many of you, but those of you who don't know him, I'm going to give him a minute to just give a quick introduction.
Hi, everyone. Like Lori said, I'm Cameron, the coalition leader for the Hemp Industrial Hemp Coalition for All Together now, and I also run a hempcrete installation business. So for those of you that don't know, hempcrete is a biocomposite insulation mix that we're using as both insulation and walling material. So it's replacing everything in the wall except for the frame, which you'll see here in a minute. And it's comprised of the inner woody core of the industrial hemp stalk and a lime-based binder. So today, again, we're out here in Newcastle with Dawn Services of Project PA Hemp Home. We have a consortium going on this project via grant funding that Lori wrote for and received from the Department of Agriculture. We're working with the Pennsylvania Housing Research Center at Penn State, Maine, Parsons Healthy Material Lab, Dawn Services, and the Department of Agriculture today on this project. So this is a small blighted home in Newcastle, of which there's many. It's a very typical construction, 1950s balloon frame, and we're basically retrofitting. So although it looks like a new build because of all of the work that had to be done in the house, this is a retrofit of an existing home. And the project has been led here by Patrick, who's the construction services manager here for Dawn Services. So I'll let him introduce himself and then we'll walk inside.
Awesome. So my name's Patrick McGuire. I come from a strong construction background and actually was able to build a straw bale commercial building in my past about 7-8 years ago. So I was really excited when they started talking about this project here. This has been a challenge on this project because we took this house sight unseen and got into the construction, found it to be full of termites and rot. So we did end up having to replace a lot of the materials. We're about 80% replaced in the materials in order to get it structurally sound, in order to be able to support the hempcrete here. So we continue to push along on this project. We're really excited to be working on this as the Dawn family being able to take this on and make some history here in Newcastle doing this. So I'm going to turn back over to Lori and them.
I'll just say a few words as well about why we chose this particular house. Dawn is a family of companies, mostly nonprofits, and our origins are with Disability Options Network, a disability rights advocacy organization founded in 2002 by our founder, Chris Lloyd. Along those 20 years since then, Chris and his team have just expanded in all kinds of directions. And de facto, we have, as the Dawn family, found ourselves becoming a major force for economic redevelopment and opportunity here in Western Pennsylvania. So we're not going to go through all of the bio. I think you could read that on the invite, but as Cameron alluded to, we have great collaboration partners. And I have to say that the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture has been extraordinary in their support, not just talking the talk, but funding projects to move the industrial hemp sector along in Pennsylvania. So this house was, as Patrick told you, acquired sight unseen. It happens to be within our project zone for the redevelopment on the Lower East Side here. We have already completed 8 projects, this being, I think, the 9th. Correct me if I'm wrong, but okay. We've got another 11 lined up in the works. This is our first hempcrete. So as we've gone over this learning curve, we'll see about how we continue to move this along and integrate healthy materials into our affordable, accessible housing initiatives. So we're going to travel a bit with you now, and Cameron's going to take you through the house and talk you through some of the work that we've done.
Yeah, and just quickly before we do, Lori and Dawn Services are a member of All Together now and our Industrial Hemp Coalition. And in the future here, they've already been working with farmers for 2 years now via a test acres program to grow industrial hemp. So this project, although we imported the herd from France, will actually include a hardwood veneer flooring made by Hempwood in Kentucky that was actually grown, was hemp that was grown here in Newcastle by Don Services. So Don is the embodiment of what we're all about it all together now, bridging the divide between urban and rural, local community revitalization, local self-reliance. All the guys that have been working on this project are from right here in the neighborhood, and they've been moving heaven and earth to get this going. So without much further, let's go inside and check out the house. All right, on over here, you can see we're in the first floor of the house now, and you can see here the hemp in the walls. So again, this is replacing everything but the frame of the building for this project. It'll be finished on the inside with traditional lime plaster, so a 3-coat lime plaster system. And then on the outside, we'll be using an air barrier as opposed to a vapor barrier. So it'll be an airtight vapor permeable barrier on top of the hempcrete that will then use furring strips to create a ventilated air gap up into the soffit, and then finish it with a local hemlock wood shake. So essentially what you're seeing here now is the structure as it will exist before wall finishings are done. We have about 10 inches of hempcrete in the wall here. Basically, that's about at an R2 per inch. We assume very conservatively that's about R20. But this material outperforms the stated R value dramatically for several reasons. One of which being that the timbers are not touching the inside and the outside, so we don't have what we call a cold bridge. You've got hempcrete in between all. So that basically you've got a mass wall effect. So this material will absorb and then slowly dissipate hot and cold energy, unlike traditional insulations, which really just reflect energy back into the space. And because of their position in the wall, they're in between the studs, which are touching inside and outside walls. So you actually have cold bridges in a house that's insulated traditionally. So this is a healthy, non-toxic material that we're working with Don here, hopefully to be able to source locally going forward for their other projects. And yeah, beyond that, if you just pan around here, you can see that we've got the first floor done, and we're working our way up. We're using a spray applied method to install the hempcrete here, made by Damien Baumer and Irizi Hempcrete out of France. And if you just peek outside here, you can see our mixing setup. We've got a large mortar mixer that mixes the material and then dumps it onto a table where it's then raked and fed into the hopper box. And the hopper box turns the material and introduces it to the vacuum tubes that are set up there on the bottom. And as you can see, these are fed up through the wall right now so that we can spray the upstairs. And you'll also see this big black heavy air line that's hooked up to a 375 CFM air compressor that creates the vacuum to draw the material up into the tubes and into the wall through the lance. So if you'd like, we can walk upstairs and I'll show you a little bit of the setup, and then the guys are going to take over and they're going to get ready to spray. So we can show you a little bit of that. So come on upstairs. Yeah, I think we're ready. Yep. The water pump and the compressor need to get turned on too. Go ahead and fire up. So here on the stairs, you can see sort of what the situation looks like in the walls before we put the hempcrete in. So the plastic that you're seeing on the back is actually just used as a release. Typically, we use recycled greenhouse plastic to use as a release, and then you've got a temporary form on one side of the wall. So that temporary form will come on once we've done spraying. This is the lance. So the vacuum tubes feed into the back of this, and the air compressor hooks up here. And then we use it again, to drive the material into the wall cavities. And once it's in, we use a screening board to massage the material down and get it nice and flat, like you can see here behind me. So this method actually saves about 60% of the labor for doing hempcrete traditionally, where you would have 2 sets of forms on the wall, and then you'd be placing the material by hand. We do also have members in our coalition at Coexist Build in Blandon that are working on a precast system for hempcrete. I don't know if Drew and Anna are on today, but those are the 3 installation methods. So you've got the traditional cast in situ, which is very time consuming and labor intensive, although it's a wonderful thing to do with the community. Spray application method and the precast blocks. So both of those are more of a step in the direction of taking this material and normalizing it for construction. One other thing you might notice here is that we've got plastic conduit run for all of our electrical services. The water lines also will be PEX. The reason for that is that the hempcrete is it's a lime binder, so it's a bit alkaline. So any exposed metal in the wall system can create a dew point when there's vapor transfer, where the water can collect around them and then fit and corrode them. So we use plastic conduit, which also allows an electrician to pull a wire if they need to in the future to upgrade the electrical or what have you. So we'll be starting over here, spraying in. We're standing in what is the bedroom right now, and we're working our way into the bathroom. And this is a really great material to use in a home. In the meantime, if Judy and Avi would like to say anything while we're getting set up, that'd be great. We'll have Lori back on later to answer more questions about the work that she did and the grants that she got and how she did that. I think that might be interesting to some of you. And then we also, I think, have Eric Titus White from the Hempstead who will answer questions for me in my stead, because he's had some spray applied hempcrete done at his place. So thanks all for joining us, and yeah, let's get spraying.
This is
Yeah.
Judy Ricks. I wasn't expecting to speak today. I didn't brush my hair or anything. But anyway, I'm glad to see so many folks here to witness this miracle green building material, hempcrete, and its application with CAM. So just to tell you a little bit about all together now, we're waiting for the action to start. We began about 2 years ago. Cameron was at our very first meeting, along with maybe 8 others in my living room, and we've been organizing since. Our mission is to unite rural and urban communities to build sustainable and just local supply chains to reduce our basic needs as close to home as possible. So we saw hemp as a great place to start because it's an emerging industry, and we have the opportunity to influence it from the beginning to be locally based. And you know, we saw that large corporations were and still are planning to move in on this industry, that we need to move quickly to secure a local economy around hemp. And so we're so proud of what Lori is doing there at Dawn Services to grow hemp locally. And so that's our mission, is to develop these local supply chains that will help our local farmers and help our local entrepreneurs. And in the case of hempcrete, provide an eco-friendly building material that absorbs carbons indefinitely, It's mold resistant, pest resistant, fire retardant, and so on. And growing the hemp itself is a great benefit to the environment because it absorbs more carbons than trees do. It's also drought resistant, and it remediates the soil. Hemp is used to remediate soil in Chernobyl, in the Ukraine after the nuclear disaster there, and remediating brownfields and so on. So it's just a great crop all the way around. And of course, hemp can be used not only to make hempcrete for building, but it's a food and making hemp flour, cooking oil. It's used in body lotion and shampoos and so on. Dr. Bronner uses it in his products, and it can be used for textiles. Here we are getting to work here, but I don't see Cameron back yet, so I'll just keep talking. So hemp, you can make paper from it. The Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. So that's another thing we'd like to see in Pennsylvania is a paper industry from hemp and a textile industry. Our ancestors in colonial days wore clothes made from hemp. The sailing ships were made from hemp. Betsy Ross's flag was made from hemp. So it's an all-American product. I imagine most of you know that it was illegal in the United States. There was a ban on hemp for 80 years, which just was lifted 3 years ago. I think around 3 years ago. It's a great industry to get into. Altogether now is working to develop a workforce development program to help train minority entrepreneurs in using hemp. We have a lot of other educational programs going on in other areas. We have a plant medicine coalition to educate people about plant medicines and how we can move money from pharmaceuticals to our local plant industry in a more healthy way to heal. We also have a clothing and textile coalition that's working on local supply chain for both hemp and flax to someday have a dirt to shirt supply chain where we can wear clothes made from hemp and flax in Pennsylvania. We also have a grain coalition to connect grain farmers with millers and with end products such as pasta, bread, beer, and alcoholic drinks. So that's a little bit about Altogether Now. Our website is altogetherNowPA.org, where you can learn more. And please sign up for our mailing list to get more notices of our educational programs.
So if anybody has any questions, if they want to type them in the chat box, we'll try to get to them. And also any questions that we don't get to, we'll try to answer afterwards for anybody that we miss. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to type, and then Ashley can read them off to us, and we'll try to get them answered. We got permission from our local inspector to use this in lieu of insulation, siding, or plaster, or drywall, and also how we're using it with its fire rating. So we got permission to do that. For a commercial application, you would have to overcome that hurdle in whatever state you're in. And once you're able to do that, you can possibly use it that way.
And I would just add to that, that work is happening right now. As members of the U.S. Hemp Building Association, we've banded together with other members to do exactly that. There is a lot of work going on right now with ASTM standards, as well as funding for research and testing so that we can make those applications and get this product to a position where it is something that we can take from seed to structure for enhancing our local economies.
How do you overcome those hurdles?
Wow. Takes money and time.
Does the application have to be further tested by different agencies and PA to make sure it is up to code?
It's not necessarily a question of just PA. The real goal is to get this into the ICC so that it is an accepted standard countrywide, and therefore talk about exact testing and standards because that's not my actual forte, but again, that work is ongoing right now through the USHBA and collaborative partnerships like our Pennsylvania Housing Research Center.
How can we help advocate for modernizing building codes?
Well, I'd start with your local builders association. You got to get local builders on board, in my opinion. You got to have a use for it, and you got to have the desire. Otherwise, if nobody's desiring it, that kind of puts it dead in the water. But just supporting any of the groups that would be putting this through with the hemp associations and our partners, just trying to support them in any way they can.
And I know there are folks on here from the Green Building Alliance. Organizations such as that one are certainly key partners in this effort.
We'll do a couple more here, guys. When do you expect the hempcrete renovation of the house to be complete? Are you using any additional hemp products in the house, like hemp wool insulation, or just the hempcrete and hempwood flooring?
So, timetable wise, we are really hoping to be completed in the first part of July. That's our goal. We're moving along really good on this. One of our barriers is once this is set, then we have to plaster the inside on this house, and there is a little bit of a timetable for that. And what we're lining ourselves up to finish this house. Our windows come in on Monday. So we'll have our windows here. Our doors will be in a couple of weeks. Flooring, picking out final colors, cabinets, all this stuff is where we're at right now.
We'll also think that those choices, we're making them in conjunction with this wasn't just about hemp building materials. It was about taking initiative to take everything that we've been doing with affordable, accessible housing to another level to incorporate healthy housing as a key element. So we're working with them to make better choices in our finishing materials. I don't think we talked completely about the house itself being visitable.
So this house, since our Don family advocates for people with disabilities, we are making this house visitable to where anybody with a disability, a wheelchair, so forth, they can access this house on the first floor. Unfortunately, this house being a two-story and the bedroom being upstairs, we couldn't make it livable. But we did go to the extra efforts here. They'll have a ramp, hopefully eventually parking in the back, and a really nice patio and access the first floor. You could cook, you could use the restroom and so forth. So that.
Just to pick up on that house here has two advocacy friends. Couldn't be a new bill. We're trying to demonstrate this material essential for home renovation. Because one of the key things that's going to come out of this is the impact on your utility costs. So Cameron talked about its insulated properties, its thermal transfer.
Yep,
I'm learning as I go here, guys.
the phasing.
But there are so many things that we haven't pinned down yet quantifiably, and that's part of the work that's going to be done with Pennsylvania Housing Research Center. So what we believe will come out of this is we will be able to prove that there is a tremendous positive impact on your utility costs and also your quality of air, so health impact. That study is being done by Parsons Health Materials Lab. So this entire collaboration is working in a 360-degree fashion to hit a lot of, it took up a lot of boxes in that, making that case for using this material. So we chose this house because it was in the right area, it was available. There weren't that many houses in the project area that were available at that time. So that had a big impact on the decision of what we chose. And it had to be a small enough footprint. We're also trying to demonstrate sustainable in a smaller footprint than what maybe typically has been the norm in the last 20 years.
We have time for one more.
Can it be added to an existing home from the outside when replacing siding?
So here's your thing to overcome with this is, in my opinion, it's every 1 inch gives you an R value of 2. And so you would have to, but the density of this, obviously there's a much greater impact with the density. So you would be able to do that while the siding was off. You would just have to overcome any local restrictions or get your building inspector on board if he's involved with that to show the value of the density and the phasing versus the R value. So because these are 10-inch thick walls, in order for us to meet the R19, which is required, we had to do 10-inch thick walls. So that'd be what you have to overcome.
Particularly that R20 though, you get great acoustic quality. Just standing inside the house, even without the windows and the doors yet, it's quiet. It's a very calm feeling. I don't want to sound like I'm too far on the Hempster scale, but it really is. And folks that have visited it from, we've had folks from Plaster Union visit. We've had several builders coming. After this event, we have the Pennsylvania Western Regional Builders Association coming. They've all been commenting on just those types of things.
Awesome. I've really enjoyed showing you guys this. I'm going to let Lori wrap this up. And so I'll step off the side, let her wrap it up, but I've really enjoyed it.
So if you have any other questions at this point that I can try to answer?
Do you have other hempcrete projects in your pipeline? How much SQ of growing hemp goes into a house like this, for example? Oh, sure.
We've had windstorms and thunder showers roll back and forth today. It wasn't the best weather-wise for us to try to do this.
We'll say, do we have any other hempcrete projects on our pipeline?
Okay. Let's get over this learning curve first. There's certainly a really high interest and dedication. Dawn is working to bring hemp production to Western Pennsylvania. And it's not just Dawn working alone, we're working with the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture to do that. But having said that, this is a big learning curve, and we want to make sure that we've done it right. And that requires us looking at the research and testing afterwards, so that when we move on to new projects, that we're hitting all of the best things that we can do. Okay, great. If there are follow-up questions, we can be reached through the All Together Now Pennsylvania Coalition. I'd like to thank Judy, certainly. I'd like to thank Leslie and Avi and Eric. Thank you so much for the support and helping us